in between grocery shopping and making lunch, which I'm sure you guys are in a similar situation. So I decided, that's it, I'm just gonna hit the mat. So we're gonna work on opening and closing with some triangle and some warrior, and then we're going to actually be using our bathrobe straps. So if you need to take a moment and grab a bathrobe strap or a yoga strap or a belt, we're going to be taking our forward-facing cow from mountain, which is a lot easier than seated, and it really gives a wonderful release on the shoulders. So coming to the top of the mat, we're going to bring our feet as wide as the mat, so we have this generosity in our hips. Our toes are relaxed, our elbows towards the ground, and we're moving our shoulders away from that ear line. Breathing a lift of the heart to the thumbs as the hands are in prayer. And we take a moment, start slowing it down. Listening to that breath. Letting go of the things that we feel need to get done today. And we just believe that what needs to get done will get done. Feeling that ease behind the eyes. The softness in the jaw. We start to feel the ribs expand on the breath in and contract on the exhale. Already feeling taller. We're going to make this a forward fold on the breath in, a lift of the heart to the thumbs, and as we breathe out, there's the softness behind those knee creases. Hinging low at the hip line, we're going to curl that pressure off our backs, fingertips to our ground, and our toes are working easy. We're going to get generous and drop that backside as deeply as we need to, knees behind our toes, and we're moving our knees in that large toe line. If you have dizziness, your head is going to stay here above the heart. Otherwise, we start to draw that crown towards the ground. We can nod the head a bit of no and some yes. And then we're going to breathe in and get playful, opening our hamstrings up that wall behind us. Sending that breath into our back, exhaling that belly in and up. And then we're going to back off, breathing in, dropping our backside down deep again, nodding our head around, and then we're going to press the four corners of our feet, open those hamstrings up that wall again. Check in with your hands if you want to circle at the wrists and release some pressure there. And then we'll drop back down generously, breathing into those creases at the tops of the thighs. And we breathe out and feel those hip creases release. We're going to open our hamstrings again. And this time as you breathe in, let's walk our fingertips towards the right side of the mat. And then as you exhale, close your ribs and wander in the other direction. Breathing up, 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 up into what's tight in that back today. And breathing out to the other side. We're going to go once more. Inhaling upward because you're folded forward. And exhaling that belly in and up, creating some more space as we wander back into our center. Inhale, keep some buoyancy in your knees. We're going to place those knees right over the tops of the feet. And as you breathe out, lengthen your tail and start stacking your back. Feel those hips open up, holding yourself front to back body, heart up the wall. We're going to slide our shoulders down and we're going to make a star shape here. Thumbs towards the center, arms out on a V. Breathe in, holding that front to back. Your shoulders and hips are staying stable, but we're lengthening through those little fingers. Once more, press your ground away, reaching that wakefulness all the way into the edges, and we'll draw our elbows towards our hips and send our hands into our prayer. Keep those knees buoyant. We're going to walk our feet in, hip bone distance, or up to you if you want your large toes together. You could do that as well. You always want your feet to be as wide as you need for the stability that your body is asking for. And checking in with that breath again, pressing your ground, lengthening your tail. Get ready for forward fold from a full body stretch. On an inhale, press your mountain. Here's that length of the full body, arms out long, but if the back is tight, you can send it to prayer. Hinging low at your hip line and curling that pressure off your lower back. Hands to your feet. We're gonna press up here and check in. Coming up halfway, lengthening the tail, holding our ribs in the front, and bringing that awareness into our shoulders again. And if the neck is tight, we'll circle the nose down and around. You'll often see me kind of readjust my knees. I have a tendency to lock my knees, and you might too, so make sure you're keeping that softness around your knees and that ease at the crease behind the knees. Catching a wave, breathing from our lower back all the way up into the roof of the head, and then contracting the ribs on the exhale. We're gonna take one more generous breath here. And as you breathe out, keep your knees soft, hinge low, and take a bow. Time for a lunge. We have the weight in our right foot, templing our fingers on the ground, forward of our feet. You start to feel the hips lift, where that hamstring feels open but not strained. And we'll step our left foot well back into our lunge. Let's set the knee down, and if you need extra cushion, you'll fold in the edge of your mat or put a towel there underneath that knee, pushing the top of your foot. We are centering our hips here, and we're gonna add in some movement just to keep it warm this morning. On a breath in, open your heart forward, knee right over that ankle, and as you exhale, close your ribs and wander it back, hip over the knee line. Breathing in, opening that heart forward, and as you exhale, close the ribs and bow your head here. Twice more, opening that heart forward and closing the ribs as we wander back. Once more for me, but if you really enjoy this movement, you can take this anytime you want to reset that body. We're going to hold that front knee over the ankle, and to help our balance, we're stabilizing that right hip crease and holding it back. Keeping our hips centered, we get this lift here. You want the hip on the left to draw in and up, so you feel this length here across this left hip line. We can hold a hand at the hip and a hand at the thigh, and long through the roof of the head. Although if you wanted to add a bit of a side stretch, you can slide your shoulder down on the left. Breathe in. Keeping it steady at the feet and hips, and as you breathe out, you can smooth that edge and make a curve really good across the hip and the shoulder. If the shoulder needs an adjustment, you take it back out of your ear, slide it down here. 2 more breaths for me, pressing that ground, holding the ribs in the front, and there's that smooth edge. Once more, deep breath in. Long exhale, smooth, and we're going to draw that rib and hip together on the left. Set our fingerprints back to the ground. We're going to be stepping up to meet our front foot. So with your fingertips staying easy, move your toes under on that left foot. Press your toes, lift up your thigh bone. Inhale, here's this buoyancy, and you can take as many steps as you need to walk up, back to the front of your mat. Nodding your head around if it's time. Getting generous by dropping that backside down deep. Breathing up into what's tight. We're going to nod our head, a bit of no, and some yes here. Hands to the calves. You're just welcoming all of the calf and maybe up into the hamstrings into your body today. Bringing your hands to your feet, breathe in. We're going to press our thighs and come up to that neutral spine. That's a different height for everybody. So if you like to take that a bit lower, you're the best judge for your body. And let's take some yoga for the neck here. Breathe in to that halfway lift. And smooth out the back of your neck. And as you breathe out, let's turn the right ear and look over to the right. Inhale, face to the ground. And as you contract the ribs, left ear around, look into the left. Breathing in, face to the ground. Keep that ease, and then back to your forward fold on an exhale. This time, we have the weight across the four corners of our left foot. We're gonna open that hamstring and step our right foot well back into our lunge. And if you need to fold in the edge of the mat, you're welcome to do so. Set that knee down gently. Your back toes lined up to your knee. Your front knee right over your ankle and in line with your large toe here. As you breathe in, you might wander forward, opening your heart, and then exhale, wander back, bow the head, inhaling. Here's our open forward, and exhaling, closing the ribs, smooth on the back of that neck. Feels so good on the shin. As you reach your hips back, you feel this shin here on the right lengthening. And we'll go twice more. Exhaling, closing the ribs. But again, if this feels like exactly what you needed today, then stick with it. We're gonna press our feet for good balance. Feel that left hip crease draw back level. Right hip is staying stable as we come up here. And we want to avoid this press forward and this arch in the back. What you're looking for is what helps your head stand one day, is the centering of the hip line. Long tail, ribs held, and we're tall up into the roof. And we're balancing our weight between this front foot and the back foot. And let's check in with the breath again. Steady on the breath. We want to hold a hand to our thigh, to our hip that's lifting here. Or you could slide down your right shoulder away from your ear. Stabilize your hips and your feet. And then there's this smooth curve along that right side. Nose down. The jaw should feel soft. The back of the neck is long. Breathing in, stabilize your feet. Stabilize your hips. And there's that smooth edge. If you like to look down, look down. You take this and explore. We're gonna go once more. Large breath right up here. And exhale, there's that smooth edge. We're gonna draw through that side body and take our fingertips back to the ground. Toes under on that back foot and push your right toes. Lift up your right thigh bone. Breathe in, check the length and the buoyancy. Press your left foot, and as you breathe out, you lift the hips up, and we're gonna step up, up into our forward fold. Nodding your head a bit, belly's in and up here. Hands to our feet. Inhale, press, and lengthen. Tail long, ribs held. And on a breath out, close the ribs, back into your forward fold. Breathing in, knees over the tops of the feet. And as we breathe out, we're gonna lengthen that tail and roll it up. Holding front to back body. Sliding our shoulders down and contracting the ribs as we bring it back home to our mountain. Checking in with the breath, getting control of the pranayama. And sometimes I say getting control, but actually it's letting control fall away. And simply listening to it. Finding that steady rhythm. And when you have a breath in, we're gonna add on, pressing the ground and reaching that full body stretch. On an exhale, closing the ribs to the forward fold. Hands on the feet, breathing in. Gathering up, holding the ribs out of the hips in that halfway lift. And on the exhale, back to the forward fold. I'm simply gonna walk back here to the hands and knees, drawing the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath that hip line. Good foundation. Shoulders away from the ears, and we start to lengthen the tail towards the wall behind us where the ribs are pressed flat and wide in the front. On a breath in, press up to your cat, lifting under those shoulders, and as we exhale, exhale, exhale the cow. Once more, breathing in and lifting under the shoulders, and we'll breathe out and open. Now to the side. We're gonna come back to neutral, take the knees and toes together, walk our hands over to the right. Inhale, hold your ribs up, and exhale, lengthen that tail back. Gathering breath into that hip and shoulder on the left, and feeling that release, release. And if you're higher up, that's completely fine. If you come here and you're caught, that's all right. Press your feet, gather your breath, and you're just traveling into that natural resistance. Once more. Yoga that makes your face happy that you decided to do it today. And we're going to come back up and wander to the other side. Breathing in and then lengthening that tail. Finding that curve along the right side. We might have a bit more resistance on this side. And that does not mean that you should stress harder. It just means that you should be kinder to yourself here. Take a moment into that dominant side. If you're right-handed, you'll feel this more. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you want to strain. Once more, large breath up into it. And we're going to come up smooth to our hands and knees here. Now we're coming all the way to the ground, and for those of you who like to full plank, excellent, go there. Or draw your elbows down and your thighs to the ground here, and you're gonna lengthen your tail. Hold up from the navel to the center of the chest, setting your hips down gently. Hands by your chest line. You can take a moment and circle out your ankles. We're going to set our feet, hip bone distance, heels towards the sky. We're going to relax our bums for a moment. We don't want any tightness there. Breathe in, lengthen the tail, and come up into your small cobra. And then come back down. We're going again, and if that was tight, bring your hands a bit more forward. Inhale, small cobra, ribs sideways, close it down. Once more, set your hips. Breathing up to this small cobra, back down. Now Sphinx, hold your hips, lift your heart, elbows underneath your shoulder line. We have this press on the feet. Our shoulder blades are moving towards the heart. The heart is opening here. We're gonna readjust the neck, breathing in, nose down, and around to the right. That feels awesome. And then we'll take a breath in, down, and around. Once more here. You're still active. Pressing your feet, lifting your lower belly, heart forward. And once more until we arrive back into that center. Inhale, lift away. And we'll roll that down, getting ready for child's pose. Elbows closed. Press your fingerprints, large toes together into your child's pose. And if you have back issues, let's take those knees closer together if you need to. You can even stack your hands or put a block here. One more breath in the child's pose that feels best for you today. And we'll come up, very easy. Working towards our down dog, although if you want to hang in the puppy, understood. Move your toes under to open the palms of the feet. Your feet are hip bone distance. Your hands are just a tiny bit forward of that shoulder line. And if you're tight, you're taking your hands wider. And sometimes this is just a good idea to work your body in a different direction. But we feel the shoulders stay stable, the biceps go strong, and rising into your dog. If it's too much, Hold on to that puppy where we just were. The belly can stay on the thigh or start lengthening your legs. Nose down, looking at your toes. And where you look is where you want your chest to move. So we feel the shoulder blades separate and the ribs are holding up, but the chest is moving towards that large toe line. And if you are a person who carries tension in your neck, your shoulders, then take a breath into your shoulders. Feel them smooth out and feel the back of the neck loosen, loosen. You can nod your head here some. And if you like to warm up the legs, let's say you do a lot of running, then breathe in, draw the right knee towards center, lengthen that left leg a moment, left knee to center, lengthen that right. You can always add movement in where you want movement. And if you want to stay steady in the center, that's completely up to you and what your body needs today. We're going to come back in towards that middle, rising up on an inhale to the balls of the feet, and this time knees to the ground. We're going to take the wrists back underneath our shoulders, or a flat fist if you're tight, and spinal balance. Shoulders stay level, tails are lengthened, and we have our right leg back. Toes on the ground if you need that support, because our goal here is to center our hips and shoulders. And if we need to keep our toes here on the ground, that's good work. We can float it up if we can keep it stable. If you're extending your left arm here, then you have to press away with your foot and your hand that's still on the ground. Slide down your left shoulder away from your ear, thumbs towards the ceiling. Inhale, ribs sideways. We're gonna exhale, contract back towards the center. And once more, palm pressing against that wall behind you, closing your ribs here, bringing your hand down on the left if it was up. On an exhale, nose and knee together. Stepping up the right foot into your lunge. Shoulders off your ears and your fingertips to the ground. Now I'm going to make sure I have this bathrobe strap handy. Right here, I'm setting it on my corner. Toes under on the left. Press your toes, bring that thigh bone up. Warrior two, draw down your back edge, open your feet wide. You have your tail lengthened, front knee over your ankle, drawing through your left side. And some of you might have arrived and you're like, awesome, I've got this, I'm right here on my warrior. And some of you might need to take a moment and lengthen both legs, center your weight between that front foot and back, and then open into it here. Hips wide, shoulders open. And we'll take 3 more breaths. On that warrior two, if your shoulders are tight, you can bring it to prayer anytime. If you're suffering from an injury, you just don't want long arms, understood. Take it to your prayer. Keeping it tall, lifting through the roof of that head. Once more. And as we breathe in, we'll reach up and bring it to prayer and take our hands to our hips. We're setting triangles, so keep your knees buoyant, heel toe, and walk your left toes inward. Breathing in, we feel a lift on this left hip, and suddenly the right inner thigh goes along. Now, I do not use a block here, because oftentimes that tends to push us forward and our butts behind. We want to think about holding between that front and back body, lifting our hip. Put a hand on your right rib cage, revolve it around, and we'll slide our shoulder down. And if you have back issues, we're going to turn that left thumb down and sweep it out of the way. Strengthen, turn. You can put a hand on your thigh for support. Holding between that front and back body. You're hinging your hips. You can also have your shoulders out of your ears, revolving your chest and hinge. I can almost feel tight necks out there. So turn your gaze to the ground. Your neck feels really good there, but now our chest wants to cave. So we think about lifting that rib cage And then turning your left ear so that when you look up, your chest is turning in that direction. And you might be on a block and you might be on the ground, but let's be kind to our bodies here. Give it that support, close the ribs and revolve. Once more, press your ground. We feel that hip rising. Open those hips and shoulders. Look to the ground. Bend your front knee. Draw through that top side. Now when we step up to the front of the mat, we want to sweep our back hand on an exhale and then step up, and to our mountain. Feet hip bone distance. We're going to take our hands to our hips. Press that ground away. Feel the heart open and the shoulders ease back. Let's keep our hands here. Breathe in. Press that ground. Open your heart, your shoulders. Now take a seat, hinge low, and curl into a forward fold. Nod your head, a bit of no. And if you, again, are dizzy, let's keep that head elevated, fingertips to the ground. You could gently sway side to side, or if you wanted to, you could bring your stacked forearms, hands to your elbows eventually, shoulders down, elbows forward. And we place the crown of our head on our forearms. And then we breathe up into our back, swaying in one direction, and then exhale, swaying to the other side. Straight legs are not recommended here. We need to make sure that we're keeping this softness at those creases and breathing up and really enjoying that sense of curve and humanness about the body. We're not trying to lose our curves in yoga, always embracing them. We're going to come back to that center, pick up our straps, breathe our knees over our feet, and you're going to come up with as many breaths as you need, rolling that up. Now you can do forward facing cow seated, but sometimes it feels really good to do it standing. We're just going to take these straps across the shoulders and place our feet open. Bring our palms wide beside us. Take that moment to find your mountain. Press your ground, tail long, ribs held, lifting through the crown, and our gaze is going to stay forward on this one. You're going to take the yoga strap into your right hand, slide your right shoulder away from your ear, floating that arm upward, bending at the elbow. We'll take our left arm up, shoulder height, thumb down. We're going to sweep to the other end of that strap, and we can be as wide as we need to. And if this top arm is a bother, then we can just drop that elbow and hold the strap against our chest instead. This is simple but mighty, and it takes a lot of concentration to be here. So inhale, press your ground, lengthen your tail. Hold your ribs tall through the crown, breathing in to what's tight in that left shoulder, and we want to be extremely cautious here. We can walk our hands closer together, but only to that point of resistance. Press your ground, lift up through the roof of the head, opening what's tight across that shoulder line. If your hands are together here, excellent. You're making your little cow face behind you. Terrific. I'm going to keep the strap today. And we start to listen into that breath again. Once more. Press away, tall, up through the roof of the head, easing across the shoulders. When we come out very cautiously. You're going to open up your left hand, but you're not going to move that arm yet. We're just going to release the right shoulder. Now we take that left hand all the way to the base of our back and then unwind it with extreme caution because it was really stretching hard for us. Hands in our prayer for a moment. Checking in, and when we're ready, we'll breathe in, press our ground, and reach for that full length. And we take that into our forward fold. On the exhale, bellies in and up. Hands on the feet. Inhale, press and rise. Exhaling to our bow. Now if you want to jump or lunge back into your plank, great. I'm just simply going to walk back into that plank of choice. Breathing in to your elbows and thighs, or hands and thighs, or a full plank. But wherever you are, inhale, press your ground away. Exhale, elbows straight back, shoulders comfortable. Inhale to either cobra, or hey, if you like up dog, you're welcome to take it here. Exhaling to your down dog, or into your child's pose. Taking that self-care anytime you need it. We feel like we're pressing the ground, opening across those side bodies. Nice. And then we're going to come up smooth to our hands and knees. Open up your fingers, open up your toes. Your feet, again, are hip bone distance. You can make those hands wider if you need to. Check in with it, lift under your shoulders, breathing in. And exhaling out to that dog. Wander around. Kind of meet yourself here. If you're lengthening your legs, then you have a gentle push on your thighs. Just for resistance. A press into your large toes. We're going to go once more. Up into it. Exhaling. And back to the hands and knees. Wrists or a flat fist underneath your shoulder line. This time we have our left leg back, and you center those hips, center those shoulders. The ribs press flat and wide, and the tail lengthens, and you float up where you feel stable. Press your supporting foot. Press away from the ground, sliding your right shoulder down when you feel ready. You're looking straight at the ground underneath your face. So it's a line from the crown to your tail. Once more. And we'll take that right hand to the ground anytime. Close the ribs, nose and knee together. Lift the heart, and we'll step up into the other side. Take a moment if you need a moment. Shoulders out of your ears on this lunge. Fingertips to the ground. We're pressing our left foot. Toes under, press your toes. Lift up your thigh bone. Warrior two, drawing down your back edge. We feel that hip ease, our tail lengthen. Drawing up into our warrior two. Steady on the warrior two. If you want to reach, adjust your feet, open your toes, open your hips and shoulders wide here. Welcome to do so. Warrior two, hips opening, shoulders opening, smooth across your shoulders. 2 more breaths here. And then triangle, rising up, hands to our prayer. We have this buoyancy in the knee. We're going to heel toe, turn our right toes inward, move our right hip higher. There's that inner thigh on the left. It's very easy to lock your legs here, so keep that softness around your knees, hip higher. We feel this left rib cage rotating, holding our ribs steady, tall. Keep a hand on the thigh. We can sweep this right arm back, out of the way. And you're lengthening here across that inner thigh. Opening up on top of that right hip. If you want your shoulders down, revolving and hinging, go for it. You might find one side a bit more challenging than the other. Maybe this side is easier. But wherever we are, we breathe in that strength. Welcome ourselves. Hinge a little farther. If you need to adjust the neck, you're looking down and then turning with your ear. Front of the neck is smooth, back is long. We're gonna go once more. Soft around your jaw, steady at your gaze. Look to the earth. Bend your knee right over that ankle, rib and hip together. On a breath out, we'll step up to meet our front foot, our feet hip bone distance, and you're pressing the four corners of the feet, keeping that hip line stable, tail long, ribs held, heart towards the thumbs. We're gonna bring our hands to our hips here, bringing the heart upward. Take a breath, press your ground, open, and then there's this buoyancy. Hinge that neutral spine, curl that pressure away. And again, we can plant our fingertips and keep our head elevated above the heart. We could draw our crown down. We could also take our hands to our elbows. I'm gonna stack my opposite forearm on top this time. Shoulders away from the ears, forearms forward. Crown to those forearms. And it feels so nice just to breathe. Up, up, up. Loosen. And then find your sway. If you're adding a sway here, where you're floating across it, breathing under those shoulders, releasing around your hips. Until we arrive back into that center. Hands on our feet. Inhale, press your ground and extend, getting that good blood flow back in the head. On a breath out, take a bow, breathing in, knees over the tops of the feet. We're gonna roll that up as oh, I forgot my strap. We're gonna roll that up as cautiously as we need to. And we have our strap. If you didn't pick up your strap, it's fine. Just bend your knees, pick it up safe and sound. Then we step our feet, hip bone distance. We have this press across the four corners, tail lengthen. We feel our ribs pressing towards the edges of the mat and contracting back in. And this time we're gonna be taking the strap into our left hand. Our left shoulder is calm. Slide down your left shoulder, bending your elbow here. We feel that right arm go up shoulder height. Thumb turns down as we reach for the other end. We have a lot of space here. This right shoulder for you guys probably feels a bit tighter if you're right-handed, so you might need some more space there. And again, if that left shoulder's bothered, we can always put the strap across the shoulder and simply hold it at that chest on the left. Take a breath in, and you can wander your hands towards each other. But I oftentimes see students reach, and then pull and come into this hooked position just so they can get their hands together. And remember, the base of this is mountain. So even if we were seated, we would want to feel this length up from the tail to the roof. And where we can hold that length easy and breathe, steady, is as far as we want to go. Breathing across those shoulders. Twice more here. Smooth on your brow, your jaw. A little bit of smiling is completely fine. I'm going to go once more. And remember, we're coming out very cautiously. We're going to loosen the strap, take our top arm away, and then draw your right hand all the way to the base of your back and unwind that shoulder cautiously. I'm going to leave the strap here, walking the feet hip bone distance or large toes together. Open up, heart tall, and whenever you feel ready, reaching into that full body length, taking that length into your forward fold. Hands on the feet, pressing. And those shoulders are just coming right home. Exhale, back into your bow. You could jump or lunge. I'm simply walking back, breathing into a plank of choice. If that looks like child's pose, excellent. Inhale, press your ground away. Exhale, strong on that weaker side. Breathing into your cobra, your up dog. Breathing out to your child's pose. But we're coming into down dog eventually, or you could hold on to child's pose, or you could hold on to your puppy. We're going to turn the toes. Bring a lift underneath our shoulder blades. Check in, elbows bending towards the ground because we're rotating those biceps in. As long as we can keep the circles of the palms engaged. Now we're coming in to wide leg, forward fold. We're going to walk our feet up. Be cautious if your floor is a little bit slicker. And breathe our hips over our instep line. You can make your feet as wide as you need to make some space. Imagine a line running between your insteps. Inhale, bringing your hips over that line. Smoother on the back of your neck. One more large breath here. Up under the shoulders. And on any exhale, wander back to meet your feet. We're going to breathe in, walk our hands towards our right foot. Feels awesome across the edge. Exhale, wandering to that left side. I'm going to go a few more times through here. One direction, and then the other. But if you find yourself in a spot that you really enjoy, linger there as long as you like. Until you arrive back in the center. We're going to drop that backside generously. Roll it up cautiously. Reaching our hands to our heart. Keep your knees buoyant as you make the decision to either walk or jump into the center of your mat. Okay, we're coming into balance. And there are no mistakes in yoga. So if you find your balance slipping, we're all human. That's completely fine. Come back when you feel steady. So you can use a wall if you need to, or a chair if you wanted to. But with your butt to a wall, it just makes it a lot more stable. It doesn't mean you get to lean against the wall. It just means that your feet are about half a foot forward of that wall. So if you get into trouble, you can set your backside against the wall. Press and then come back up tall. But we're going to be warming it up first, shoulders level. Inhale, reach your hands to prayer. Exhale, closing. We're going to inhale, press the ground away with the right foot. Collect our right hip. And then exhale to our big toes or move your knee towards your little fingers and down on that ground. Inhale, press and reach. Exhale, close the ribs. Keep that core steady. Inhale, push your left foot. Lift to your big toe and then up towards your little fingers, down on that ground. Inhale, gathering your calm. Exhale, close. If you feel unsteady, pinch your ears. Press that right foot, lift your crown, knee right towards the center of your chest and down on that ground. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, close. Breathing in, we're going to press away. Exhale, contract the ribs, knee towards your little finger and down. I'm going to be doing a variation of tree. It looks like a letter 4 on the leg. We'll breathe in and reach. Hands to our prayer. If you would like to take your right foot to your instep on the left, we're starting with our weaker side, strengthening that left side tall to the crown. Maybe as far as you go, your hip is opening here gently. If you're making your letter 4, then we have our toes forward. Breathing in, collect your core, ribs held. When the hip slips on the left, that's when we lose our balance. So we keep that left hip in to our big toe line. Think of pulling your crown up, lifting your thigh bone, open your foot, and there is your letter 4. Breathing steady. You've got this. And then we unwind anytime. I was a little quick on that. And back down on the ground. We're going to circle our left toes on that ground. Forefoot. And then we bring ourselves back with our feet hip thumb distance. Now we have this strong side, pressing our ground, lengthening. We might take a moment to reach, gather, and this time we're placing our left foot into our right instep. We feel the strength up that right side. We're gathering our right hip, lengthening our tail, and maybe we stay right here. Feels really terrific. Or we press our ground, foot forward, and we feel this lift away. We feel that thigh bone pick up, open the foot, making that letter 4 here, taller. Breathe into what's tight in that hip, lifting through the roof of that head. We're still collecting our hip here. Steady on the breath. Once more. Ooh, and we drop back and out. We're going to circle and circle. So we've been opening our hips and opening up our shoulders. Now we're going to take a moment to close. So have a seat down on your mat. And you're going to bring your feet forward. Make sure you have enough room to lie down behind. And we can gather the tissue out of the way on the sides. I have my toes up, so the heels are planted, hands behind your thighs. On a breath in, lift your hips, open your heart, and as you breathe out, you're going to press your lower back just past the tail and catch. Inhale, ribs sideways, exhale, all the way down. You have the knees bent. I'm going to take my hair down. And our hands are beside us. Now the feet are just forward of that knee line. You're going to press your feet, feel your hip bones lift, and we're going to take our hips over to the right just a couple of inches, not very far at all. Our arms are on a T, palms on the ground, shoulder blades heavy. Now if you find that your torso is bunched, you're going to walk your feet a little further away so that the ribs feel very smooth in the front. Taking your right foot on the inside of that left knee. We're going to drift our thigh bones over to the side, lifting up that right hip. And if you get caught, you're caught. Breathe into that natural catch, closing the ribs. If you need to adjust your shoulders, press your elbows here, adjust your shoulders on the ground. If you can move your hand on the left to the top of that right thigh. You don't want to press down, but you could rest your hand there. Give it that support. Breathing into the shoulder on the ground on the left. And right where that pressure is, where the shoulder meets the ground, feel that release. And the hips feel amazing here. Take a breath. And then let those hips get heavier. If you have neck issues, keep your face to the sky. If you decide to turn your head, exhale, close the ribs, nod your head, and take your right ear to the ground. Listen to your breath. and where you're feeling anxiety in your body, take a breath there. Feel that release. Looking up towards the sky. We're going to unwind, drawing the ribbon knit together on the right. Press your feet and readjust your hips. Press your elbows to readjust the upper back. You can take your hands behind your head, scoop it up there. And we can adjust the whole thing. Hands behind our thigh bones, shoulder blades into the ground. As you exhale, close your ribs just to the tips of your shoulder blades. Use your biceps, and then roll that down. Feet to the earth. We're going to press our feet, lift our hips, and take them over to the left just a bit this time. Arms out long, shoulder width. We're going to walk our feet forward and breathing in. We feel the ribs staying smooth, and this time we have our left heel on the inside of our right knee. We feel that hip lift on the left and the thigh bones move to the right. Feels so good across that lower back. And at this point, if the shoulders are uncomfortable, push your elbows, adjust your shoulders, the back of your head. If you want the right hand to the top of the left leg, rest it there. If you're turning your gaze, nod your head, turn with your left ear. Listening to that breath. It's a rainy day here. Yang is sleeping on the couch. Of course, he's more than welcome to snooze the day away. He does not like rainy days. So when it's raining, he just finds a place to rest. And maybe that's what you're doing today. And we'll slowly look up to the sky, drawing that ribbon hip together, unwinding our feet to the ground, adjusting our lower back by pressing and lifting our hips, adjusting that upper back and forward, scooping that head up. Now I'm going to be rolling this up to a seated position. If you would prefer to extend your right arm over your head and press up with a long left leg, excellent. I'm going to draw my hands behind my thighs, our shoulders down and back. On an exhale, close your ribs just to the tips of your shoulder blades. Inhale, thighs back to the shoulders and up into a simple cross-legged posture. If you have discomfort sitting, you can always put a blanket or a towel at your behind. It's a little bit higher and make that somewhat easier. You could draw your left heel towards the center and follow it with the right. That feels really good. If you're coming into a half lotus, as I am today, because my hips are open, then you would take your outer foot. For most people, naturally, that would be the right foot. You keep your palms spread wide, and you draw that heel just above the knee when you're first getting going. And you take that lower heel out. So your run is heel to heel, and the palms of the feet stay wide. And when your feet stay wide, your hips can stay anchored. Tail towards the ground, ribs held in the front. And if you'd like to draw to a full lotus, please feel free. I'm going to be taking my strap again between the hands, both ends of the straps, and I'm taking my hands shoulder width. If you would prefer at this moment to interlace your fingers and draw away here, great. I'm going to be using a little more width today. Tails long, ribs held. We're going to slide our shoulders down and float our arms upward. Clearing the clutter from the center of the brow. Feeling light above the hips. longer. Once more. Floating back down and releasing. We'll bring our hands into our laps. A curve to the lower back and a bow on the head. And give your belly permission to release here. Letting go of the anxiety in the belly, the face. Sending calm down through the exhale. And just letting go. Of what does not serve you today. Relaxing your belly even farther. We're going to wake up our own by drawing a breath, stacking our bones to the crown of the head, our hands at the heart. 5 times through with a large breath in, and letting go of the send that into what's still anxious. Large breath in, and let loose anytime. From the center, moving the sound out. And once more. Thumb to brow as we take that clarity to mind. Namaste. Have a really great rest of your day.